This week's episode of Fairy Tail mostly just focused on foreshadowing the next coming arc and the new villains, and also saying a heart-warmed goodbye to a very beautiful character. But anyway, we get a lot of hints as to what the next arc is gonna be, and at least who the enemy is gonna be. And it goes back to Cobra when he gets arrested, and he willingly gave himself up, so he did keep somewhat of his promise. But he mentioned he heard the voice underground. The gates of hell are opening for the demon generals, and that goes back to them mentioning Tartarus. Now we remember that Tartarus is one of the three big dark guilds that formed this alliance. So really, like, they're the last ones, I believe. So they're the last big dark guild. So I'm wondering, like, is this gonna lead to the big final fight against the Ref? Because the Ref is in charge of demons, and now there's demon generals, gates to underworld, Tartarus, which in, I think it was Greek mythology. I think it's Greek mythology, where Tartarus is essentially hell. So I'm wondering if this is gonna lead into the final arc of Fairy Tail, and the ending is coming soon. But either way, you know, I like how they mention Doranbolt comes in and tells Jalal, I erased the memory of all the council members, because if they remembered the events, they would just come cracking down on the empire or the kingdom, and that'll cause a lot of problems. They're so short-sighted, narrow-minded, that they won't care about, you know, trade or political strife within the kingdom, and that's good. I mean, I'm kind of sad that the kingdom won't, you know, face consequences, but they do seem to regret it, and they're gonna probably work hard at rebuilding their kingdom. So in a way, they are suffering a certain amount of consequence. They have a lot of guilt for what they did, and it makes sense. I mean, the Magic Council has never been one to be very fair-minded. They pretty much, like, are arrowheads, you know, shoot straight towards their goal, and that could possibly cause a lot of problems for many people. They don't take into consideration a lot of the civilians most of the time, except for when it comes to defending them against dark magic. But they would probably crack down on the kingdom, which would cause a lot of problems with neighboring countries and who knows what else. It'll be a big mess. So it's good that Doranbolt did that. And then again, there was this joke somewhere in the middle, again with the whole Natsu getting car sick, you know, the carriage and everything. And I don't know if at this point they're just playing along with the whole joke thing because it's part of their routine, or if the show still considers that a joke, because we just learned during this arc that it's a sickness among all Dragon Slayers. Dragon Slayers literally can't ride anything, any form of vehicle. So it's a legit sickness, a weakness, and if this show is still trying to pass it off as a joke, it's not funny anymore, because now it's been confirmed it's an actual weakness to all Dragon Slayers. So I hope they lessen that joke or something like that. But the majority of this episode is saying goodbye to Ultear. So we find out she's still alive, but in a very tragic but at the same time beautiful ending to her arc. The first 5 minutes or so of this episode was so heartwarming. We see this old lady wake up and, you know, go out for tea or coffee in the morning, you know, walk the city, say hello to some people, stuff like that. And it was kind of beautiful and serene in that way, because it reminds me of when I was a kid and I used to just wake up early with my grandmother, and we just go outside, sit in the patio, drinking coffee, and it was just quiet all morning. It's one of those moments that I really love to see in shows. It humanizes the show. It just shows us that there are these beautiful mornings, but it's just a good idea to sit outside and look at the sky. And that's pretty much what this episode was doing with this old lady. And then we go to crime, sorcery, Weldy or Mendy, Meldy, Meldy. I think it's Meldy and Jalal. You know, see, her name is really hard to remember because there's so many names similar to hers, just different lettering. But yeah, you know, the old lady goes up to them and says, "This is what this girl told me to give you this letter." They read the letter. It's a goodbye letter from Ultear saying she failed. You know, she tried to perform this spell and it didn't work, but it still took her life away from her. So now they have to move on without her and continue their mission of stopping, dark guilds from hurting people, and never letting your past crimes become a burden to you. Trying to forgive yourself so the world can forgive you. And it was very beautiful. In fact, it almost made me feel like we should be following these two. We should have been following Crime Sorcery for the last 7 years to get a glance at their progress, their journey, and really start to really fall in love with these guys. In fact, I still want to follow them and see if they start to expand. Maybe the word spreads across the land about these people trying to take down dark guilds and help people. Like, they just want to join up, even if like other criminals want to join in, trying to make up for their mistakes. So now they're an illegal independent guild. They're trying to run from the law, but at the same time they're still trying to protect people. And it grows and grows. And it'd be a very amazing journey if we were able to follow them. But of course we can't. We got to go back to Fairy Tail and their crazy antics. And not to say Fairy Tail is bad. It just seems like there's a lot more depth and character progression with Crime Sorcery. And it's kind of sad in a way, but at the same time it's just good to know that there are actually very deep and interesting characters out there in this world. And we find out that the old lady is actually Ultear, and I guess that by using this time travel thing, it took away all of her life. It just aged her. So it's kind of tragic. I will question, however, how she found a house, or maybe it's an apartment, and it almost seemed like she knew the city, like she's been living there for a while. Like, I don't know. But either way, it was still a very tragic but beautiful scene near the end. She's looking up at the sun, saying these rays are washing away her past sins, and and it's kind of sad in a way that she still thinks that she failed a lot of people by her spell backfiring essentially. But I mean, it makes sense. I doubt anyone would go around saying, "Hey, I remember dying. What happened?" And she would have heard about it. And like, no, she didn't get any chance to talk to people and have them tell her, "Hey, I died. I essentially died. But that 1 minute you turned back time, you saved me." No, she didn't get to see that. What she did was a very big sacrifice, and it accomplished a lot. But she pretty much died never knowing that, and that's just sad. And going back to the death thing, I like how Grace kind of says, "I kind of remember feeling like I died once," and it makes me wonder, like, well, maybe it's a mental thing, like it's a deja vu. I remember going through this one scenario, but it never happened. I mean, why? Or maybe it's a physical thing, like his body can actually still remember dying and being pierced by these lasers. So it's good that he still remembers. And they give us an explanation as to why people still remember all the dragons, and when time should have been back to normal. And they say like time was manipulated way too much that now it can't go back to normal. I guess that's kind of like a half-assed answer, but whatever. It's magic. I guess it's fine. I'm willing to buy it because, again, beautiful episode. God, I'm so sad for Ultear. And really, I hope everything works out for Jalal and Meldy for Crime Sorcery. I mean, they have a very noble goal, and they have very tragic and heavy backgrounds that I really want them to succeed. And I really hope their story continues, and it just builds and builds until it's just this legend that goes on, the test of time, and people will still be telling legends about this guild. They don't remember the names of the heroes, but they were just so dedicated in saving people. I want that to happen for them. They've already suffered a lot. Now they just lost a very close and loyal member, and it's just sad. I mean, it is tragic, and but it's beautiful at the same time. Either way, I'm excited for the next episode. It's probably gonna introduce the next arc, probably involving Tartarus and these demon generals. Maybe they're not demons at all. Maybe they just have very demonic powers, magic abilities, who knows. But either way, you know, I liked this episode. It was beautiful. I can't wait till the next one. Until then, I'm Tony Dragon. Bye bye.